Would it be rude for me to eat this on the recording?
No, I'm sure it'll be fine.
What? Didn't you mute me? You muted me. We were recording with, was it Uwe?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was eating. It was
something. Awful, and it was like you could hear every single. It was like you could hear his teeth touching. You could hear everything. It was like
sticky.
Gross.
Yeah.
People watch that. It's a whole
Not
thing.
me.
It's a whole thing.
Not on this podcast.
I don't know. There could be some cross audience, ASMR, like apple chewing. That's a whole thing. People sit there and chew on apples.
They're
just
weird.
To listen to the noise.
There are weird people in this world.
Yeah.
He's one of them.
Yeah.
I listen to the clickies. They go like that.
I can't take that. If somebody clicks when they talk, I just can't do it.
It's like soft whispers, clicking. That's all I need. I will fall asleep. Like, it's fantastic.
I will have a temper tantrum and go crazy.
If they try too hard to whisper, and they're like, I don't. That's too jarring for me. I don't like it. I don't like it when they crank up the audio too. It's too loud. It just has to be just enough that you can barely hear it, because you want it to fall. You want to fall asleep to it. You just.
Young lady, I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
And I am so excited for you. Tell us what you won.
So I won the 2024 Apex Service Advisor of the Year Award.
That is awesome.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
I have been friends with your dad for a long time now, and he is a very important part of my life, and I am honored to have you on the show.
Thank you.
He's been on the show many times.
Yeah.
He tells us there's a bunch of exciting stuff happening in y'all's lives.
Yes.
So you want to share a little bit about what's going on?
Yeah. First of all, in order for me to be on the show, I need Mr. Roman to not talk about how much he doesn't like people's dogs.
I love it.
What?
That's a non-starter for me.
I love dogs.
Okay, but when my dad was on the podcast last, you said you don't care about people's dogs.
Yeah, my wife gets mad when you do that.
That hurt Kylie's feelings.
Who's Kylie?
Our CSR.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know Kylie.
She said, I don't like that man.
Yeah, she's not the only one. We have a pretty big list of people that we can just, we can add her to it. I mean, I've probably got 15, 20 pages.
I'm just telling you you're wrong, and here's how I can prove you. Now, you just had a kid. No, not just, but you have a kid. Mm-hmm. You see a dog coming after that child of yours. Are you going to give a crap about that dog, or are you going to punt that dog so far into oblivion just because it kind of looked at your kid wrong?
Well, yeah.
Okay, then there you go.
But
that's all I'm saying. That's how I meant it, Kylie.
Okay.
Was it Kylie?
Yeah, Kylie.
That's how I meant it, Kylie. I will punt that dog. I don't care. I don't care how fluffy and cute it is. It looks at my kid the wrong way. It's going to get punted.
I don't remember this at all.
I don't either.
I pretty much ignore you all the time.
As people hear what they want to hear. They think I hate dogs. I don't. Cats, on the other hand.
I don't know. So we were in Allentown when he realized, we were in Mount Pocono when he realized that his father-in-law's dog had peed on his clothes and his tripod.
No, not my clothes. On the tripod, though.
Well, but where it was on the tripod and you put the tripod on top of your clothes, you kind of had an odor to you for a whole week. So.
Get out of here. Get out of here. So my wife decided she was going to paint the hallway, upstairs hallway, because she's got to have something to do. And so she paints the hallway. She shampoos the whole hallway. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. She shampoos the carpet. She does this whole thing. And that same stupid dog, decided he was going to walk down the hallway with his leg kicked up and just pee just all the way down on the wall, down. She's like, that dog just peed all over the fresh paint. I just cleaned this all up. That's his thing. He's like, this is my spot. Shh. That dog now sleeps on our bed. I hate that dog so much. Stupid dog.
What were we talking?
Anyways, exciting things going on in our shop. Yeah. So even though I just won Advisor of the Year, I am no longer an advisor in our shop. So we just hired 2 advisors.
Okay.
We have Priscilla and we have
Okay.
Jason.
Okay.
Superstars.
Yeah.
I'm training them to be
Right.
my replacements.
Okay.
I mean, they both come very, they're very talented. They
Yeah.
know how to sell
Yeah.
everything under the sun.
Right.
They're very, very good at what they do.
Okay.
It's really just kind of fine tuning.
Right. In line with what we do and how we do it kind of deal. Right.
Get them in line with our processes.
Right.
So kind of training them.
Yeah.
And then I'm moving into marketing.
Nice.
And then I will be taking over finances as well.
That is really exciting.
Yeah.
And I've talked to your dad a lot over the last couple of years because I knew that at some point this was going to be the natural transition, right? Because that's really what he wanted, I think. And he's been very vulnerable with me. I've been very blessed because we've had some very vulnerable conversations, especially after his mom and all of that. And, some of the things that I think back about, I remember him telling me about your sister's accident and how much that impacted both of you in a big way. And it's been a real wake-up call for me in some ways because he's been vulnerable enough to say to me, life does not go the way you think it should, and it does not go the way you expect it to sometimes. Yeah. Be prepared for whatever happens, right? What have you got, because you've really been watching him this whole time. You weren't always in the shop. And I don't want to say it's a new thing that you're working in the shop, but it's not, gosh, it's been a lot longer than I was thinking.
7 years.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it's not like you were working there from the time you were a kid and the whole 9 yards. What have you learned from your dad in those aspects?
So I have watched my dad from the time where I didn't really see him a whole lot when I was a kid. He worked at the shop all night long. Yeah. There were nights where I didn't see him because he was still working when I went to bed. Yeah. So I watched him kind of transition from working all day, literally all day, every day, on the weekends, everything. To the point where there are some days he doesn't even come into work. We now have a 4-day work week. So he's home on the weekends a lot of time. Now I don't live with him anymore, but my husband works every other weekend. So Lily and I will go up, we'll hang out with my mom. She is obsessed with my mom. She loves her. So, we'll go up there. My dad will be there. He's spending time at home. He's doing things around the house. He did things around the house before, but work was his priority.
Exactly. Work was the whole focus, and it was kind of who he was. And when I met him, I think in a lot of ways it still was who he was. It was his entire focus. And so when those things happened, it felt like from the outside looking in, it was a huge wake-up call for him. I think I saw like a major shift in the person that he was. Your sister's accident, and then his mom and the whole progression of how all those things happened. I think it really changed him. What do you think? Like, do you see that too?
Especially with my grandmother. So when my sister had her accident, I was still in like a CSR type of role. So I wasn't at work all the time. So I kind of would help split time with my mom and kind of so that my mom wasn't a full-time caretaker of her. Because she got in her accident like a week before her senior year of high school would have started. And she didn't go back to school full-time until like after Christmas. She had like brain bleeds. She was going through like major concussion therapy. So she had a lot of therapies to go to. She was, teachers were coming to our house. So I was kind of splitting time with my mom so that she wasn't all consumed in taking care of her. So I wasn't at work all the time. I was kind of taking days off here and there, but my dad was still at work. He wasn't really taking days off at that point. But when my grandmother got sick, it was, first of all, it was really quick.
I remember.
I think we went to STX in Orlando. think it was 22.
Yep. And that, I want to say that was like right after everybody found out, because my mom had been sick, and he came to me and he's like, never even remotely semi-aggressive. You know what I mean? And he like grabbed my arm and he said, you go spend time with your mom.
Yeah.
Like, I demand it, you know? And so that was a wake up call for me too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So it was like March, because I think that was when we were in Orlando,
Yeah.
which right around then is when she was diagnosed. I think she found out while we were away.
Yeah. I think so too.
And he almost didn't come.
Yeah.
And she was like, you need to go.
Yeah.
But after, she found out, which she ended up passing away at the very beginning of June.
Yeah.
But he pretty much didn't come to work.
Yeah, and she
after
had been
that.
pivotal in the shop, right? Like, she was a huge part of what the shop was, and all the clients knew her, and she was a big part of it. What was it that she did in the shop?
So we were still doing paper inspection books.
Okay.
Because that was her job.
Yeah.
My dad would not take that away from her.
Right.
Years prior to that, we could have gone to online inspection reporting,
Right.
Which would have been so much easier.
Yeah.
But he would not take that away from her.
Yeah.
So that was her job. So she did our inspection books. She would fill those out. And then kind of what I will be doing, what my mom does right now, she would pay all the bills and things like that, balance, all the books. So that's what she did. She would come in, do that in the mornings.
Yeah.
She kind of had stopped doing it as the years kind of progressed. But when I first started, she would shuttle customers every morning, things like that. She would pick up parts when we needed it. So
Yeah, she was a little bit of everything to the shop, and I remember when he stopped going to work and when it really changed his whole mindset. What did you see? Because as a child, right? Like David's saying right now, he's talking about, hey, one day maybe my child takes over my business, and that's something that I think about. And we've got friends who say, I would never want my child to take over my business. I'd rather use those resources to help them do their own thing, and lots of different perspectives. Hey, what did you see change in your dad, and what did it change in the business when that happened? And what's your perspective of the business as a child that grew up watching the business grow?
So I have two siblings. I have an older brother and a younger sister.
Yep.
Neither of them are involved in the industry.
Yeah.
When my brother was getting to the age where he was in high school and kind of deciding what he wanted to do, he wanted to come work in the shop, but my dad said no.
Okay.
Because at that point, the shop was nowhere near, what it is today.
Right.
It was not doing the greatest.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to bring him into something
That was
because he wasn't confident in it.
Yeah.
But, a few years later, I had been to college. I realized it wasn't my thing. I was in kind of like a transitional period. I was like, I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah.
So we were at the point where we were growing. I started working in 2017. That was the year we moved from where Adam is right now at Allied. We moved from there to where we are right now.
Right.
So we were obviously doing some growing.
Yeah.
We just needed people. We needed help. So at that point, he was more confident in himself, in the business. I saw his confidence grow. I saw the success. I saw, he was just more comfortable.
Yeah, for sure.
And I could tell because he wasn't spending all day, every day there. He wasn't spending the late nights and everything anymore.
Yeah.
Even though he was spending, he wasn't taking as many days off as he is now.
Yeah.
Or, even he's working from home. It's not like he's
Right.
doing nothing. But
Shop-Ware plug.
Yeah. Working from home with Shop-Ware.
Exactly.
But yeah, he's working from home now, but he was working every day, but he wasn't working all night. He would come home and eat dinner.
Yeah.
So it's different. I could see that there wasn't quite as much stress on him.
Yeah.
And when we started to have conversations about me moving into transitioning into a service advisor role, I originally said, I don't think I want to do that.
Okay.
because I saw how stressful it was for
Yeah.
our now manager, Mike.
Yeah.
He was the only one. He was the only advisor that we had. And as a CSR, I never really, I didn't have any training originally. I just kind of watched him and I was like, I can do that. And I just kind of would fill in repair stories and things like that just to kind of help him because I saw how stressed out he was.
Right.
And I realized he needed some help.
Yeah.
And my dad promised that we would make it less stressful.
Right.
So that's,
Here comes Sam.
how I kind of agreed. That's how I started
Yeah.
my role as an advisor.
And I'm not just saying this because you're sitting here. You are a rock star advisor. I mean, you were like next level advisor. You're probably one in every million service advisors, ability wise, right? And I've seen you advise, and so I'm not just saying that. I've kind of seen some of that in something that's happening in my shop right now, where we've hired an advisor, and I lost an advisor a while back, and then I've advised quite a bit. I was on the front counter for a long time, and it's been really hard for me to look and very much along the lines with what Mike, right? Because I think in some ways you came in and you were just extremely natural at it. You were extremely good at it. It didn't even take that much training to get you really good at it. And there were areas of it that Mike struggled at that I remember seeing and thinking, man, that's just so stressful for him because, and I see that myself now. I've got an advisor who's struggling and I'm like, but dude, this is so easy for me. I can just fly through this. And so I think there's personality traits that go with that. And I think Mike's really good at what he does, right? He's an asset to y'all's business and he is phenomenal. But I think when you came in as service advisor is when I heard a huge change in your dad's mentality after you had been advising for a couple weeks, right? Because it was all of a sudden, I'm ready to take this and run with it. I'm ready to do something with this, right? Not that he wasn't trying to do something with it before, but it seemed like it renewed his passion for the business when that happened. Do you agree? Is that what you saw?
I feel like after I kind of, started in the advisor role, he just kind of, I don't know if I don't really remember.
Yeah.
I know I started advising in 2018,
Yeah.
2019-ish, somewhere around there. But I know around there is when we started to really take off and grow. And we were so successful.
Yeah.
And he was so confident in the business. He was so confident in us. And
It just happened.
yeah.
Yeah.
And him being confident in the business and in us makes us confident in ourselves.
Right.
So it just kind of all works together.
Yeah. It fueled the fire.
Yeah.
And I have noticed a lot of things, and one of the things that I see in my business that frustrates me is things like maybe it's exit scheduling, maybe it's these little specifics, the way we talk to clients, the things that we do. One of the things I admired about your ability to advise, you always accomplish those things, right? Like every single time I saw you working with a client, you followed the process to the T, and you were really good at accomplishing that process. And so I saw you accomplish many, many things as an advisor because you were doing those things that the rest of us always say, oh, I'm so busy, I can't do that. What do you attribute that to? Is that a mindset? Is that just that you're good at process? Because I'm thinking of things like exit scheduling, putting in the information about their birthdays and what their dog's name is. And I've read some of your repair orders and I've read some of the notes on the sidebar in Shop-Ware. And I'm like, damn it. I feel like I suck. I mean, dude, I'm telling you, you go into their Shop-Ware and you read any of their tickets, you can learn everything there is to know about their clients because what you put in there.
I mean, that's how I learned, and that's what I know. That's what I was taught, and that's just what I've always done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what I'm supposed to do. So that's what I do.
But I mean,
I don't change the process.
A lot of advisors don't do that, though. A lot of advisors, they get busy and they say, oh, I don't have time to do that. I can't do that. And then they break the process. And so the process now falls apart and something else breaks down the line. And what I try and teach my advisors is hey, if you, for instance, updating a client, if you don't change the status in Shop-Ware, we use auto text me, so it sends a text message when you change the status, right? If you don't change the status and tell them that it's waiting on parts or it's waiting on approval or whatever it is, then guess what? The phone's going to ring. Or if you don't pick up the phone and call them preemptively, you're going to have them frustrated. They're going to be stressed out. So now, instead of it being a 30-second telephone call, hey, I'm going to send over your DVI. I'm going to give you a call with an estimate here in just a little bit. What happens is now they call you when you're already busy, and that's a 5-minute call explaining why, no, I didn't forget you, right? And so that happens 5 times, and guess what? You just blew 30 minutes of your day away because you broke the process. And so now, guess what? You are running out of time because you wasted 30 minutes. And I don't think that, I think a lot of advisors come into the day and they say, oh, I've got plenty of time, no stress. David doesn't have any cars, so it doesn't matter. Sorry. But they come into the day and they say, hey, I've got plenty of time, and they don't maximize every second of the day. And then when they get busy, like you were running quite a few cars through the shop by yourself as an advisor, more so than what my guys would run by themselves, right? So that was pretty impressive.
I mean, like you said, it takes 30 seconds to do this, and that will save me 5 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
So why would I not take those 30 seconds to do what I'm supposed to do when I'm supposed to do it, rather than make my life more difficult later?
So you've got the new advisors. Do you think that they follow the process the same way you do? Have you given them autonomy to change the process, adapt the process to their style?
So we give them autonomy to kind of change some things.
Okay.
But not like the meat and potatoes.
The core premise.
Yeah. Like, you can change your script, obviously, make it your own. The way you talk to customers, but when you talk to customers, that does not change.
Right.
You update your customer after the estimate's completed, everything like that. But the way you talk about things,
right.
You don't have to say the same exact thing that I would say.
Right. For sure. So moving forward, now you're moving into a bigger role in the business. You're going to be handling a lot more. What training are you doing to be prepared for that?
Good question. So I kind of reached out to Kim Walker from Shop Marketing Pros right away when I knew that this was the plan. Just to kind of get some help or some guidance as far as marketing goes. So she kind of directed me toward some of the podcasts and things like that they've done as far as marketing.
Right.
Just to kind of get some guidance. And my dad is also putting me through like leadership training kind of. More so right this moment, just kind of he has a list of books and podcasts and things like that he wants me to listen to on the leadership side of things. Because while I am moving out of the service advisor role, I am responsible for training in the office. So, I am a leader. I need to learn how to lead properly and appropriately.
I agree.
So
I think
I need to focus on right now.
I think that's one of the hardest things that I went through because I was not a natural born leader, right? And my tactics didn't always work. And I remember being young and the way that my dad would inspire us to do things is like, oh, you're going to get in trouble, right? And there's a better way to do that. And I still catch myself doing it. I still catch myself like, what the hell is this? Like, why'd you know what I mean? And that's wholly ineffective, right? And I know that. But I'm just not natural at that, right? I'm not like David.
Leadership is the ability to influence others towards a certain end.
Yeah.
You don't let anybody do anything. So that's why you're a bad leader, because they have to be able to do it. You don't let them do it. You just do it yourself. So what are you, you're leading yourself.
Hey, at least I listen well.
You don't. We told you to stop. You haven't stopped doing that.
Well, no, I mean, I'm listening to myself just fine, though. What?
He's not making you listen to John Maxwell, is he? John Maxwell stuff.
It's hard to listen to. There's some good tidbits in it, but it's hard to listen to.
It's so like, I don't know. It's fluff. It's just fluff. I don't know.
What's he got you listening to?
I don't remember what I'm listening to right now because I have been listening to not leadership podcasts. I have, my junky reality podcast that I like to listen to sometimes too.
Yes.
Junkie reality podcast.
Kind of like
what's that?
mix it in a little bit.
Yeah.
What's that? We wanna
That's
know.
us. We're junkie reality.
No, she's not listening.
No,
Let's
it's
get out of
not.
here.
I'm not listening to you. That's just not a junky reality podcast.
There we go. We
As-
moved
We
up
need to
a
be
little
slightly.
slightly now.
I just need to point out that a few minutes ago, David was talking about going and getting pedicures done so he can sell pictures of his feet on the internet. So I
I did not
money
say
somehow.
that.
Yeah.
That's not my thing. These feet, no way anybody's gonna look at those and go, "That's a woman's foot." No, they're gonna go, "The hell is that?"
Is that green?
My wife has convinced my daughter that she has my feet, and so she looks at my feet and she's like, "Daddy, I've got your feet." I'm like, "You don't. Your feet are adorable." And she's like, "No, they look like yours." I'm like, "They don't. Trust me, they don't." Yeah, my wife. I don't know why she does that. So I want to know the names.
Oh, okay. I'm listening to Two Hot Takes.
Oh, that's my wife's favorite, and it is
I
the
love
best
it.
show ever.
It's so good.
It is really good. You ever listen to it?
No,
They just
What's
read
that?
Reddit stories.
Yeah, the poop knife. The poop
The
knife.
poop knife.
Yeah. I mean, like that was hard not
is that
to.
all we need to do?
Yeah,
Do we just need to read Reddit stories and then just goof off of that?
yeah. That I can only imagine his face as we begin to tell him the poop knife story.
Oh, I've heard the poop knife story.
Like you gotta just like
Yeah.
relax sometimes, and that's
Yeah,
my
disconnect.
junkie.
Yeah,
You know,
I could see that.
I just laugh.
She does a really good job with that show.
Yes.
And the story behind it, I'm sure you've heard her story and like how all that played out. Like they were going bankrupt, right? She was getting ready to lose everything. And
She started a podcast.
yeah, I guess it was her boyfriend went and bought the equipment. He was like an audio guy. And he's like, hey, let's just try this and see if this works. And I mean, it like blew up.
Yeah.
I mean, overnight. And I mean, I think one of her sponsors, I remember hearing her say something that one of her sponsors was $14 million a year is what they paid for a year up front to be on that show.
It depresses me.
Right.
We need to renegotiate with our sponsors, Lucas. Cecil, we're gonna have to talk about this. $14 million. Just the Kelsey brothers got $100 million to do their stupid show. Have you listened to that? It's garbage. Don't bother.
He doesn't like any show that's not ours. Well, he doesn't mind them as long as they're not as successful as ours. If they're more successful, he just can't stand it. Cannot stand it. It's overwhelming.
I don't. No, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. That sounds petty. I'm not petty. I try not to be petty. I work on not being petty. I try to identify petty traits and go, I shouldn't do that. That's petty. No, that's petty. No, that's not true. That's not true at all. I just, my wife watches the most garbage shows on Netflix you could possibly watch.
Like what?
Like there's a
Love is Blind.
Love is Blind. She watches that.
So good.
She goes just blasts through the episode. She likes Bridgerton.
Yeah.
She's like, "Ooh, new Bridgerton."
It's
I'm
good.
like, "No." Ugh.
Love is Blind is not good anymore. It was very good at the beginning.
And it just went
Not
down.
good anymore.
She's got a
Bridgerton's
bunch of
good.
them. No, I don't know. I saw how they cast some of the characters. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, why are you putting those people in there like that? This is ridiculous. It takes you out of the time setting. It doesn't make any sense. I'm just saying. It doesn't make any sense.
I'm all about the storyline. As long as the storyline's okay, I can watch anything.
It's a soap opera, but in like
based on a book.
1800s. I get it. But it's like 1800s England. But it's a soap opera. There you go. There's a whole premise. Boop. Done.
Yeah, I probably couldn't handle that. Probably wouldn't be my thing.
And there's boobs, if you're into that. Less wiener than Game of Thrones, though. So if you want more wiener, Game of Thrones, less wiener, Bridgerton.
Come to find out, David goes home and watches Game of Thrones.
I don't mind the wiener. That came out all wrong. That's not what it meant. I don't mind. The story is good enough. The story's good enough in Game of Thrones.
I take great relief in the fact knowing your father is going to watch this episode and hear that. Like, that is worth every single cent that it just cost us.
I'm just saying that came out wrong. The story is good enough in Game of Thrones all the way up to season 6. That you can put up with the wiener too.
Is that okay?
I'm just saying. Have you watched it?
Yes, I've watched Game of Thrones. I didn't. Yeah,
Juan,
I'll be honest with you. I didn't notice any wieners. I guess I wasn't looking for them.
what are you talking about? What are you talking about? They start a whole episode. Things just doing its thing there. You're like, this is how we're going to start the episode? Really?
This took a turn.
I'm just saying that's how it goes. Anyway, it's a good enough story right up to season 6. And then just
Oh my goodness.
poor Juan, he's never watched Game of Thrones. He got into it. He's my shop manager. Never got into it. And then he's like, and then this happened. I'm like, yeah. And then, make sure you pay attention to this. And then he comes back. He's like, I can't believe. I'm like, yeah. What season are you on? Season 6. I'm like, I'm sorry. He's like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of went downhill.
It went downhill.
I'm watching The Old Man. The Lincoln Lawyer's decent. It's just something to kill time with. The Old Man's a good show. If you ever get a chance to watch it, it's pretty good. The acting's terrible in it, but the storyline's pretty good.
What's that?
Yeah, I'm all about the storyline.
I can't do the TV shows. It just, I don't know. It's got to be Breaking Bad. It's got to be Game of Thrones. I love House of the Dragon. I think that's really good too.
Yeah.
I didn't like this last season. Was not as good as the first one, and then it kind of got weird at the end.
I couldn't
but
do
whatever.
Breaking Bad because it reminded me a lot of things, and I was like, it gave me the heebie-jeebies. I just didn't.
The who? Which one? Breaking
Bad.
What?
Yeah.
That's like #1 show ever.
I know. I just couldn't do it.
What?
Couldn't do it.
It's so good. Have you watched it, right?
I did, yeah.
Did you not think it was the best show ever?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I watched it in high school.
There's
It was a while ago.
there's some history that I personally have that
Were you angry because it's like, the meth heads don't dig holes? Do they dig holes?
I mean, meth heads do all kinds of crazy stuff. They'll take the sock drawer out 10 times and refold it just because they think they can make it better.
There's a scene in Breaking Bad where the guy's like, they're trying to distract the meth head, and so one of the characters, because he knows meth heads will get into that, he starts digging a hole, and he's like, "What are you doing? Digging a hole?" And so he's like, "Okay." And so he starts digging a hole with him, and he gets consumed by that, so they can go off and do what they were going to do. But they just need to distract the guy, and that's how they got him to not pay attention to what they were doing. I think they were robbing the house or whatever.
Beginning to wonder if he's a meth head.
Me?
Yeah, it doesn't take much to distract
I feel
you.
like
I could start digging a hole, and I guarantee you'd keep digging.
Me? No. I don't get that distracted that easily. Anyway, we just had a talk with the CEO of a big fancy company, and I asked him about bringing family on to the business, and he told me that he would never do that, ever. He's like, no, it's the fastest way to sink a business. And I'm like, what, really? Because I told him, I'm like, you want to have your kids working in the business and, the whole thing. What your dad's doing and what you're doing in the business. Like, I love that whole thing. Like, that's, in my mind, that's like the ideal thing to do. It just moves on, passes down, more families in the business. Who started this? Grandpa started it, that kind of thing. I think that's appealing. In my mind, that's the American dream.
I don't disagree with you. I too look forward. I think Lou will probably take over the shop and run the shop at some point.
Not the shop. Screw the shop. That can burn down and festering pile.
But I'm just saying that if one of them was going to do it, it would probably be him. and he would be interested. Now, that being said, the whole family business thing, because of everything else going on in life right now, does make me a little nervous because it has created some serious problems.
But but what Tom's doing with you and saying, okay, you need to work on leadership skills, you need to learn operations,
yeah,
you
that
need
did
to learn
not happen in our
finances.
case.
Yes, absolutely. It was just here, run with it.
Yeah.
And your dad might have taken it and gone, okay, I'm going to be prudent with this, and this is the way it's always been done. We're going to make sure that's not always going to happen by the third generation. Yeah. That's what they typically say. By the third generation,
it falls apart.
So it does need to be it needs to be methodical. It needs to be planned. It needs to be
systematic.
Systematic. We got to make sure that this person is the right fit, mindset wise and personality wise. They have to be able to deal with it. Because the CEO you're talking about, his two daughters are they're creatives, and they're not. And I can see my daughter too. She's a people pleaser, and she's likes designing things, and she's very artistic, and she likes to get along with people, and she doesn't want to offend, and that is not going to make a good manager. So maybe not her.
Well, and I mean, I think Tom got extremely lucky because you're just really good at it. You're just a natural, right? You're just really good at being able to run the shop. I mean, I know that Mike runs the shop in a lot of ways, but I mean, I think your presence impacts the way that the shop runs, right? There's a difference when you're in the shop versus when you're not, right?
Yeah. And, when he's interviewing someone new, one of the questions he asks, and maybe he doesn't have to, but he feels like he needs to, is, are you okay with a younger female being in charge?
Yeah.
Because I am turning 27 in a week.
Yeah.
And I will be in charge.
Right. For sure.
Most of the people we're hiring are older than me.
Yeah.
And our technicians, they don't always have to be men, but most of the ones, all of our technicians are currently men.
Right.
They're all older than me. We need to know that they're okay with it, because before they even come on board, if that's going to be a problem, they don't belong.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So we're kind of crossing that bridge before it becomes a problem. But we're just really lucky with our team.
Yeah.
I've been working with our company for so long. Most of our team has been with our company for so long. They're our family.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like a boss versus it feels like, hey, here's our objective. Here's where we're going.
That can be a problem though if you have to fire someone.
Yeah.
I think it's very seldom a male-female dynamic or an age thing. It is almost always a competency problem, because you meet someone that is younger, maybe female, and you're male, or the person's female and they're whatever. They will be put under more scrutiny looking for problems in their competency. They're not confident. They hide mistakes. That's a big thing. Admit as mistakes. Hey, I screwed up here. Let's get it fixed. Can't take charge in situations. Deflects blame, right? That's a big issue.
Yeah.
You see this. This isn't like a female-male thing. You see this all the time. Weak-minded managers, it is somebody else's fault. It's something else. It's not me. It's not me. I didn't do anything wrong, which is a huge problem.
Yeah.
And so that's the only thing is you being younger and female and everybody's older and male, you're just going to get scrutinized more. But it'll if the competency and the confidence is there, it won't be a problem. It shouldn't be a problem. I don't know. I can't imagine a rational person having a problem with it if you're not giving them a reason to. it would be absurd. Now, if they're irrational, they're just, and some people get like that. They're just completely out of their minds, but you probably don't want to have them as an employee.
Yeah.
Not because they can't take direction from a younger female, but just they're irrational about it.
Right. It wouldn't matter who it was.
Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered. They would have had a problem with anybody.
And y'all went through that with a situation. And that I remember that ended really nasty. That was like, and I felt so bad for your dad because that broke his heart.
It did.
And that sucked.
I think if that would have continued,
Yeah.
we would have had a problem.
Yeah.
Like, we did not get along.
Yeah.
There was already situations where, like, we just butted heads.
Yeah.
And I never took it to my dad because I already knew that he was on his way out.
Just let it. Yeah.
Just kind of let it.
What was
do
the guy
its thing.
doing?
He just,
Had an attitude problem?
yeah. He had an issue taking direction from anyone.
Yeah.
He was one of those people that's always right.
Yeah.
And
And, I watched your dad do something that I am so guilty of. And I've been doing it here the past couple of months. And your dad says, but the hard time that he lost a lot in his life. And he really had a hard time. And so that led to addiction. And that led to other problems. And so I don't want to just let him go because he's working through things. And well, it wasn't really that. It was this. And like, I was talking to him about it as it was happening, saying like, I've been where you're at. Like, this doesn't end amicably no matter what you do.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad. But now I'll tell you what really upset me is how he responded after the fact. Like, I really care about your dad, and he's a very important
Didn't
person
he like
to
complain
me.
to the state or something with him?
No, it was way worse than that.
Huh.
If I had been able to get my hands on him, I probably would have strangled him half to death. But that's just my personal opinion. The dude was anyway. But I mean, like, especially knowing as hard as your dad has, because like I connect a lot with what your dad has done with the business, and the reputation of the business means everything to your dad, right? It's a big deal to him, and for that guy to get on social media and say the things that he said, it was like he knew that was your dad's Achilles heel, right? He knew that he was going to get to him by doing that, and I think that was the most low down, sorry thing a human being could do to another human being. I was mad about it.
And just, after everything that my dad has done for him over the years,
I mean, like, seriously, to act like that after, because I mean, I just in the time I've known your dad, I saw the things he did for him, right? Like he bent over backwards to take care of this guy. He did everything you could ever imagine to try and
people don't care.
Save him.
People don't care. They don't
He
care.
definitely did not care. No, there's no caring about that.
It happens all the time, though. And you're bending over backwards, you're giving the guy money, you're giving him chances, you're helping him out outside of work. You're doing absolutely everything you can to make this guy as successful as possible. And then they turn around and stab you in the back, or they steal from you, or they do something.
It's a really valid point. One of the things that I for instance, Jeff back here behind us, the jaded mechanic. When I first started hiring technicians, at the time I was the only tech in the shop. And when I first started hiring technicians, I was listening to Jeff, and he's talking about the way that everybody treated everybody else and how technicians are treated so poorly. And so I built a system around a lot of the things that Jeff had to complain about to make sure I took care of my people in a way that was good. But what did I do? I also set myself up to get myself in trouble, right? Because now they demand that and they expect that, and they not that I would ever treat them poorly, but it's an expectation, and they have taken advantage of it. Not all of them, but in some ways, some of them have taken advantage of that, right? And I think that is in a lot of ways what happened with your dad and that employee, right? The more your dad gave, the more he took, and he just kept taking it. I think what happens is shop owners do that for so long, they burn themselves out, they become jaded, because they don't get the same level of care. They don't get the same level of, hey, look, this dude did so much for me, I'm going to stand behind him, I'm going to take care of him too.
Yeah.
Right? So they become jaded because time after time, they're the ones who get the shit end of the stick. And so, I mean, I commend your dad for not letting it get to him any more than it did. I know it bothered him, but
It did.
Can't let it bother you. You got to do what you got to do.
that's hard to do in the moment, though.
I don't know.
Especially when like somebody's been in your life for years and years and years and years, and you care about them. And
I can see the CEO not wanting like a complete disconnect. Like everything is either performance or you're fired. I can see the appeal because everything's just it's numbers. It's like you either a net positive to the business or you're not, and if you're not, you got to go, and that's it. And I'll just find a replacement for you.
I can't be like that. That's just not who I am.
I don't know. I need to talk to him more. Maybe I'll leech some of that away.
That ruthlessness. What do you think? I mean, do you think that it takes some level of ruthlessness that some of us don't have?
I mean, maybe a very little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, to have a successful business, I feel like you need to feed into your team
Yeah.
and give them the care and support that they need,
Right.
and that is how you will get what you need out of them.
You're correct. The premise of success is them feeling like, hey, I'm part of this. I'm going on a journey. I'm part of what's happening here.
Yeah.
Right. And so without creating that, but I mean, like these companies do it all the time without creating that. What's the differentiating factor, I wonder? Is it just money?
I don't know. I'm just telling you, like you see the businesses that rise up faster, make more money. They feign caring. They pretend to care. There was last year in Colorado. The guy wins. Like he's got some name for auto. It's like Heart Auto Repair. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
something
yeah,
like
I
that.
remember that.
And they're like, yeah, they do like $20 million a year. It's a huge business. But I'm just telling you, like one of the employees is not performing. That employee's gone. We're not family anymore. We're family right up until the moment you stop performing. Then you got to go. And it's just, it's like, if you're not a net positive to the business, you got to go. That's it. That's it.
It feels icky to me. I mean, what do you...
Yeah, but they're doing 20 million.
I know. I'm just saying.
You can't have the feels and do 20 million. I think it's
wouldn't be
impossible.
able to do that. I just wouldn't. I would rather just not do the 20 million. But I mean, like
20 million is kind of cool though.
There's, but I guess my point is like, you're right, and I don't see how you can be successful without having some level of that ruthlessness.
Yeah,
Eventually put your foot down.
Yeah, I do feel like there are some times where you gotta kind of have the talk where my dad has had it. You are on the bus or you are off the bus.
Yeah.
If you are on the bus, this is what we need from you.
And if you're off,
If you're off,
goodbye.
bye.
Yeah.
It can't go on too long. If you're not performing, you gotta have the talk.
Well, I mean, we can't afford to pay them if they're not.
Yeah.
Right? Like is what David brought up this morning, is that it's all well, great and good that you want to pay people hourly, but if you're not performing, like the money's got to come from somewhere. And that's what I'm guilty of, is I'll just let the performance kind of decline, and instead of putting my foot down and saying you have to do this, I kind of let it slide for a while, and then it gets worse and worse and worse.
I make excuses as to why that's just not happening. Like, oh, we didn't get the parts in time, or hey, they shouldn't have started that job. Like, we put the work in the wrong order, or hey, we didn't get enough approvals. It's always something. In my mind, it's like I'm causing the issue.
Yeah, me too.
But like at this point, I've removed myself entirely from the shop. Like I'm not there. So if we don't have performance, it's got to be a process problem.
Yeah.
And if it's a process problem, then that's fixable. We've got to just fix that, whatever, tweak the process. Not that I want to do that. I don't want to do it. So maybe I'll hire Cecil coming in and take care of it.
Hiring a manager was a big deal for me for that very reason, is that he doesn't accept. It's like, nah, man, I understand that lots of things happened and you didn't hit your hours. What do we do different? And we don't do this next week, right? No, it's not an option. right? Like we're not debating this. Here's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that you seeing your dad, especially with that particular employee, seeing him go through that, I think that gives you a leg up because I think you saw it from another perspective, and you saw dad pouring his heart out. And I went through the same thing with my dad. I think you saw dad pouring his heart out, trying to save this person. And you saw all along, there is no saving, right? We've already gone over the bridge. We're sailing through the air towards the ravine at the bottom. This is going to crash and it is going to burn. And you saw it. So I think you have a leg up because you saw so much of it that now you say, you know what? We're not doing this. We're just going to go ahead and nip this right here in the bud, right? Because I think it would have been less painful if very early on when we realized where this was going, if it got nipped in the bud and it just got taken care of, right? I understand why it didn't. Don't get me wrong, but I think it would have been much easier on everybody.
So on your first day, you need to pick the worst performer and you need to walk in and fire them.
Yeah.
You gone. Put the fear of God in everybody.
You don't have any worst performers though. It's fine.
I don't know. Maybe somebody starts to slack off a little bit.
Hey, they're going to get back to the shop next Monday. They're going to walk through the door. Sam's going to walk up and she's going to say, Dad, sorry, but you got to go, man.
You got to go.
You're really weak. You're my weakest link. Get the hell out. You don't get a paycheck anymore.
David told me I could.
That's it. Hey,
Who's selling the cars?
Not me.
I think is he even selling any cars anymore? I thought he was like kind of backing away from that. The last I heard was I'm really not. I'm just going to step away from that.
He's the only reason we still have sales.
Is it not? Does it not like supplement the income?
So, COVID really killed it for us because it was not essential. So, we had to shut it down completely.
Yeah.
So the issue is my dad is not going to sell a car that's not right.
Yeah.
So if an Audi needs timing chains, he's going to do the timing chains. But because it needed timing chains, the car needs to be more expensive for us to make any type of profit off of it.
Yeah.
But when people are looking at used car prices, they're looking at the same year with the same mileage on it.
Yeah.
And at
overlooking the fact that one needs timing chains.
Yeah. So, he's selling a car that is correct versus someone else selling a junk car, and they're just looking at price.
Yeah. That's why I don't understand how shops can sell cars. It doesn't make any sense to me. Because I'd be the same way. Like, oh, no, we got to put chains in this. It's okay, that's going to blow up our profit margin on this. It's like, I can't sell it, though. And I'd be looking at like trim pieces and stuff like that. I'm like, it's worn out. Let's throw a little trim piece in there. Let's run to the junkyard and grab this pad or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then that would just nickel and dime that car. And I made $300 on that car. And we sold it for $32,000.
It's the coming back with a problem later that I can't handle. I care way too much.
I'd be okay with that. I wouldn't
do it.
You give them like a 6-month warranty or 1-year warranty, and the car's right when it leaves. And as long as they come back for the oil change and stuff like that, I'd be okay with that. It's the before the sale.
Well, we actually have a Q7 in the car or in the shop right now. Sold it maybe a year or two ago. They've put 20, 30,000 miles on a car. When we sold it, we told them brakes and tires were coming up. Great, they put brakes and tires on it. We haven't done any repairs to the car. We've done maintenance.
Yeah.
Because they've hit the mileage marks.
Yeah. Right.
But it's an Audi.
Yeah.
It needs...
They break.
They break.
Yeah.
But, the only things that are going to break on this car all just broke at one time.
Oh, man.
And they are so upset. And my dad just has a bleeding heart.
Oh, yeah.
So...
Can't stand for people to be mad at him.
Yeah. So
now he's fixing the car?
Is he eating all of it, or is he what's
I don't
he doing?
know what's happening.
Seems like you're like, I'm not going to be blamed for this.
I don't know what's happening. I think he's helping them trade it in on something else. It was in the schedule to be fixed today, I think, actually, because I think we're taking it as a trade-in or something. Because now they don't trust the car.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But he explained to them, and so Jason, our technician, actually came from an Audi dealership.
Yeah.
He knows those cars, and he knows that those are the 3 things that are going to break. The technician who worked on the car, also our newest technician, came from an Audi dealership.
Yeah.
He also knows those are the 3 things that are going to break on the car, but they don't trust the car anymore. They don't feel comfortable.
Right.
So
and I
they don't want it. And I get it.
That.
It's their
Then
daughter's
they were
car.
owned an Audi.
They
Well, why would you put your kid?
Yep.
This is going to be my new thing. Like, parents need to stop buying their children European cars. That doesn't make any.
Is it the Q7 that's
flipping-
supercharged?
I don't. It doesn't
I
matter.
just-
Trio supercharged. Engine.
Yeah, I just bought one. Yeah. I just bought one.
My mom has one.
Yeah. This one's got a broke valve in it, and so I'm gonna.
Oh,
I mean,
You don't put your 19-year-old, your 17-year-old, you don't do that. You put them in a Toyota Corolla, an Echo,
I got a Jetta.
Tacoma. I still wouldn't do a Jetta. Your dad owned a flipping European shop. Like, yeah, okay, fine, that makes sense.
but he drives
I'm
a
saying for
Chevrolet
everybody-
pickup.
Does he really?
He knows better. Yeah.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I'm saying that for the normie, non-car person, do not buy a European car for their kid. Who does that? I get people that call me and yell at them. Like, oh, my son's looking at this Audi 3 or this BMW 3 Series twin turbocharged.
Why would you do that?
And I go,
That's bad.
And I
That's
run them
bad.
down the list. I'm like, hey, I'm just telling you, in the first year, you're going to looking at $20,000, $25,000 in repairs. What? Yeah, this guy has 109,000 miles on it. I guarantee it has $10,000 right now that needs to be done on it. And you're probably going to spend another 15 within the first year.
It has 4 oil leaks, and it needs a drive belt and a tensioner.
No,
And all the control
Listen. We just let the oil run down on the belt. It's fine. It will be fine. I promise. There's nothing to worry about.
Within the
man
first
at the
year,
used
those
car lot said it was
turbos
fine.
are going to give you fits. Those turbos are going to need to be replaced. That is like $11,000. And they're like, I don't even know why. BMWs are supposed to be good cars. Get your kid a Toyota Corolla. Like, they don't need anything like that. Oh, they don't like that car. Are they paying for it? Even if they weren't paying for it, I don't care that you're saved up. You know what you can't do? You can't get a tattoo. You can't drink. You can't smoke. You can't do a lot of things, including choose your first car. Because you're an idiot. You're a teenager. You don't know. So you're getting a Toyota Corolla. That's what we're buying you. Toyota Corolla, 2009, by the way.
Those
year.
are good cars.
Best
Those
year.
are really good cars.
That's what you're getting.
Sam doesn't know because they don't work on Toyota Corollas.
Oh, they're so good.
I never had a Toyota.
200,000, 300,000 miles. 200, 300,000 miles. Nothing wrong with it.
Steering wheel sticky.
Steering wheel
Right.
sticky. That's a Jetta thing.
Oh,
What
yeah,
year
yeah.
Jetta?
I had a 05 and a half.
Oh,
so
yeah.
the newer
Blech.
body style.
Yeah.
Those
I
are
liked
meh.
it.
The older ones smelled like crayons when you got in.
Yeah, they
Everything
did.
would get sticky.
Yeah.
But they were cool cars. I liked them.
Yeah. They were decent cars. They did fall apart.
I was supposed to have a Beetle that was that year range.
Yeah.
But it was stick shift. And
Those were good cars. I'm okay with that.
I learned how to drive stick shift. but
Eventually.
When I got
Yeah.
my license. So my birthday's in November.
Huh.
And it's winter in Pennsylvania. My whole
Oh,
permit.
yeah.
So we actually had winter when
Right.
I was learning how to drive.
Yeah, I know,
So,
right?
like,
That all changed.
Yeah. So I didn't have a whole lot of time to learn how to drive stick shift, and then I was actually working down the street kind of from where our shop is now. So I was driving 20 minutes to work every day, and I was just not super comfortable yet. So
Yeah.
Right.
Daddy got me an automatic Jetta.
Hey, listen, I have a technician that also came from Volkswagen and Audi, and I'm going to tell you something. I don't know why. I think he's a little too sensitive. That's just my personal opinion. But I will tell you that every single time a convertible Beetle rolls in, this dude literally tears up. And he's like, I'm not going to have to work on that, right? I'm like, what? He's like, the convertible top, I'm not going to work on that. You know that, right?
It's not that hard to mess with, convertible tops. We do a lot of those.
I don't know. I think he must have had a bad experience. Maybe got stuck in one or something. I don't know. But he gets mighty upset when he sees them. He has visceral reactions. You
They're
can
not
see
that
it.
complicated. You compare that to like the Mercedes with the hydraulic, the hard top. And see, you guys know? Yeah, exactly. Those are a nightmare.
We had one come in that had gone to another shop, and they said, "Yeah, we don't see anything wrong. It looks good to us." And the guy kept saying that his convertible top wasn't leaking. And they were like, "There's no oil that can leak right there." And we said, "There is." And I'd take it to the dealer if I were you. You can have that mess. I'm good.
You just replace everything. That's what we do.
You know.
One comes in and it's like, hey, here you go, $12,000. We're going to replace everything. Well, why? It's because the one we don't replace is going to start leaking.
Yes.
$55,000. Stupid hydraulic.
Oh, that's
Get out of here,
awful.
piece of crap. All right.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.